He pulled a small torch from his pocket and pointed the narrow beam inside. There was a rustling sound as he opened the door the rest of the way. A pile of papers and leaflets that had been sat behind it shuffled out of the way like a messy deck of cards. Glancing down at them, he saw a mixture of residents' newsletters and flyers mingled in with the post that some enterprising souls must have gotten past the secure entrance to deliver. He walked down a short hallway, sweeping the torchlight left and right, calling out as he went. The hallway led to an open-plan space incorporating the kitchen, dining and living areas. He was no interior decor expert, but the place definitely had something of a retro feel to it. A faint hint of an odour hit his nostrils, and he stopped to look around. He wrinkled his nose in disgust as he bent over a coffee cup on the nearby bench and sniffed. Spots of brownish-green mould clung to it, and he stepped back out of range of the smell, noticing the thick cloak of dust on the bench as he replaced the cup in the spot that it had been protecting. He made no effort to mask his footsteps as he looked around, calling out to minimise the surprise to any occupants. But nobody responded. He went back to the open area that accounted for most of the floor space and looked around, mentally calculating where the leak would be located from what he had seen of the layout downstairs. As it turned out, the answer was glaringly obvious when he saw the pool of water on the kitchen floor over by two white appliances, a fridge and a freezer, he presumed. They were short, stocky units, a little above waist height, pale cream in colour with matching chrome handles. Doors closed on both, but the water pooled on the floor was a giveaway as to which one was the culprit. Maybe a power failure had caused it to thaw. The contents could have leaked through a gap in the door seal. The model looked like one he'd had in his first flat years ago. He set his toolbox on the bench and lay his torch on the floor so it illuminated the area by the base of the freezer. Expecting some form of leakage, he had brought an old towel from downstairs and laid it out now over the puddle. It had also come in handy to soak up most of what would no doubt spill out when he opened the door. There was a token resistance when he tugged at the handle, but it opened with somewhere between a cracking and a sucking noise as the seal gave up its grip. He watched the miniature waterfall trickle over the interior edge and soak into the towel. Not as much as he'd feared, but then again, most of it was downstairs now. He was less prepared for the cloying stench that made him screw his eyes closed, flinching away as surely as if he had been slapped across the face. He pulled the neck of his sweater over his nose and mouth, bandit style, and looked back, still wincing, at the 4 identical compartments inside. Eeny, meeny, miny. He started at the top and worked his way down, a cursory scanning of soggy bricks of cardboard packaging, looking for the source of the smell. The drawers rattled open and closed in quick succession, until he reached the 4th one. Instead of closing it, he just stared, open-mouthed, as his brain caught up with his eyes and finally told him what he was looking at. The act of opening the drawer had caused the severed hand inside to rock gently. Its fingers were outstretched, ready to shake on a deal. Ragged shreds of grey skin clung around the edges of the severed wrist like dirty wet cloth. He jerked upright and away in the same motion, stumbling back into the opposite kitchen bench. What the fuck? The words slipped out before he could stop them. He quickly put a hand to his mouth, looking around. It occurred to him that although he had called out when he came in, he hadn't actually looked in any of the other rooms. What if he wasn't alone in here? What if the owner of the hand was in here somewhere? More to the point, what if the person who removed it was too? He stumbled out of the kitchen and down the corridor, looking over his shoulder as he did, not stopping until he reached the safety of the hallway. He jogged to the lift and jabbed the button with one hand, pulling his phone out of his pocket with the other, and dialed 999. His eyes never left the doorway.